Emma Richardson stared at her phone screen and sighed deeply. Another text message from her best friend Sarah had just arrived. This was the 5th message today, and it was only 2 in the afternoon. Sarah was not giving up. She never did when she had an idea stuck in her head. "Please, Emma, just one more chance. I promise this time will be different." Emma typed back quickly with her thumbs. "You said that last time and the time before that. I'm done with blind dates." She put her phone face down on her desk and tried to focus on her work. Emma worked as a music teacher at a local elementary school in Portland. She loved her job, but today her mind was somewhere else. Her phone buzzed again almost immediately. This guy is really special. "His name is Marcus. He just moved here and doesn't know anyone. You would really like him." Emma picked up her phone and rolled her eyes. Sarah had been her best friend since college. They had been through everything together. But Sarah had one annoying habit. She thought she was the best matchmaker in the world. The problem was she was terrible at it. The first blind date Sarah set up was with a man named Derek. Derek talked about himself for 2 hours straight. He never asked Emma a single question about herself. The second date was with Tom. Tom brought his mother along to the date because he wanted her opinion. The third date was the worst. A man named Brian spent the entire evening talking about his ex-girlfriend and crying into his pasta. After 3 disasters, Emma had made a rule. No more blind dates, ever. She was happy being single. She had her students, her violin, and her small apartment with a nice view of the park. Life was peaceful. Life was simple. But Sarah was not giving up. "I know the last few didn't work out," Sarah's next message said. "But Marcus is different. He's a software engineer. He's smart and funny. He loves music just like you. Please just meet him once. What's the worst that could happen?" Emma laughed out loud at that question. She had learned that many things could go wrong on a blind date, but she looked at Sarah's messages and felt her determination weakening. Sarah really seemed to believe in this one. Maybe she should give it one more try. "Just one more." "Fine," Emma typed. "1 coffee. That's it. If it's terrible, you can never set me up again." "Deal. Deal." Sarah responded immediately with 3 happy face emojis. "Saturday at 3. There's a nice coffee shop on 5th Avenue called The Morning Brew. I'll send you the address." Emma put down her phone and wondered if she was making a mistake. But it was too late now. She had agreed. Saturday was only 3 days away. The next 2 days passed quickly. Emma tried not to think too much about the date. She taught her classes, practiced her violin in the evenings, and went about her normal routine. But on Friday evening, Sarah called her. "Hey, I'm so excited for tomorrow," Sarah said in her cheerful voice. "I'm trying not to think about it too much," Emma replied honestly. "I need to tell you something," Sarah said. Her voice changed a little. It sounded more serious now. Emma's heart sank. Here it comes, she thought. There's always a catch. "Marcus is blind," Sarah said quickly. "He lost his sight in a car accident 5 years ago. But don't let that worry you. He's completely independent. He has a guide dog named Beethoven. He's really amazing, Emma. I didn't want you to be surprised when you meet him." Emma sat down on her couch. She felt a wave of nervousness wash over her. She wasn't nervous because Marcus was blind. She was nervous because she didn't want to say or do something wrong. What if she accidentally said something that hurt his feelings? What if she stared without meaning to? What if she offered help when he didn't need it and made him feel bad? "Emma, are you still there?" Sarah asked. "Yeah, I'm here," Emma said. I want to be respectful. I don't want to mess up. Just be yourself," Sarah said warmly. "Treat him like you would treat anyone else. He's just a regular guy who happens to be blind. That's all?" "Okay," Emma said, though her stomach was full of butterflies now. "Oh, one more thing," Sarah added. "Bring your violin." "What? Why?" Emma asked, confused. "Just trust me on this one," Sarah said mysteriously. "Marcus will appreciate it. I promise." After they hung up, Emma sat on her couch for a long time. She looked at her violin case in the corner of her living room. What did Sarah mean? Why would she need to bring her violin to a coffee date? It seemed strange. But Sarah had said to trust her, so Emma decided she would bring it. Saturday morning arrived too quickly. Emma woke up early, even though the date wasn't until 3 in the afternoon. She felt nervous and couldn't sleep well. She spent the morning cleaning her apartment even though it didn't need cleaning. She was just trying to keep busy and not think about the date. At 1 o'clock, she started getting ready. She changed her clothes 3 times. First, she wore a dress, but it seemed too formal for a coffee date. Then she wore jeans and a t-shirt, but that seemed too casual. Finally, she settled on jeans and a nice blue sweater. Simple, but nice. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her brown hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She had a little makeup on, but not too much. She looked like herself, which was good. Be yourself, Sarah had said. That was exactly what Emma planned to do. At 2:30, Emma grabbed her violin case and headed out the door. The coffee shop was only 15 minutes away by car, but she wanted to arrive a little early. She was always early for everything. It was just her personality. The Morning Brew was a cozy little coffee shop on a quiet street. It had big windows at the front and comfortable chairs inside. Emma had been there a few times before. She liked it because it wasn't too loud or crowded. She could sit and read a book while drinking her coffee in peace. Emma parked her car and sat inside for a moment. She looked at the clock. 2:45. She was 15 minutes early. She took a deep breath and told herself to relax. It's just coffee, she thought. Just 1 hour. You can do this. She got out of her car, grabbed her violin case from the back seat, and walked toward the coffee shop. Through the big windows, she could see inside. There were maybe 10 or 12 people scattered around at different tables. And then she saw him. Near the window sat a man who looked to be in his early 30s. He had short dark hair and was wearing a gray sweater and jeans. Next to him, lying peacefully on the floor, was a beautiful golden retriever wearing a guide dog vest. The dog's name tag said Beethoven in bold letters. This had to be Marcus. Emma stood outside for just a moment, watching him through the window. He looked relaxed and comfortable. He wasn't fidgeting or checking his phone like so many people did when they were waiting. Instead, he sat calmly with a small smile on his face. His fingers were tapping lightly on the table, moving to the rhythm of the music playing in the background. Emma noticed something else. Marcus looked kind. She couldn't explain how she knew this just from looking at him, but something about his face seemed gentle and warm. She took another deep breath and walked inside. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air. A few people looked up when Emma entered with her violin case, probably wondering if there was going to be some kind of performance. Emma felt her cheeks get warm. She walked toward Marcus's table, her heart beating fast. "Hi," she said when she reached him. "Are you Marcus?" Marcus turned his head toward her voice and smiled widely. "Emma?" "Yes, that's me," Emma said. Her voice came out a little shaky. Marcus stood up immediately. Beethoven lifted his head but stayed lying down, well-trained and calm. Marcus held out his hand in her direction. "It's really nice to meet you," he said. Emma shook his hand. His handshake was firm and confident. "Nice to meet you too," she said. "Please, sit down," Marcus said, gesturing to the chair across from him. He found his own chair again and sat down smoothly, as if he had done this 1,000 times before. Emma sat down and placed her violin case carefully on the floor next to her chair. She didn't know what to say. Her mind felt blank. All the confident, interesting things she had planned to talk about disappeared from her head. "Sarah told me you're a music teacher," Marcus said, breaking the silence. "That must be really rewarding." "Oh yes," Emma said, grateful he started the conversation. "I teach elementary school kids. It's wonderful, but sometimes very loud," Marcus laughed. It was a genuine, warm laugh. "I can imagine. Kids have a lot of energy. Do you like music?" Emma asked, then immediately felt stupid. Of course he liked music. Why else would Sarah tell her to bring her violin? "I love music," Marcus said. His whole face lit up when he said it. "I actually used to play piano before my accident. Music was my whole world." Emma noticed he said, "used to play, not play." Past tense. Something sad flickered across his face for just a moment before his smile returned. "Would you like some coffee?" Marcus asked. "I was waiting for you before ordering." "Yes, that would be great," Emma said. They walked together to the counter. Well, Marcus and Beethoven walked together and Emma walked beside them. She watched how Beethoven guided Marcus around chairs and tables. The dog was so smart and careful. When they reached the counter, Marcus ordered a black coffee with 1 sugar. Emma ordered a latte. As they waited for their drinks, Emma realized she had been overthinking everything. Marcus was just a normal person. He joked with the barista. He knew exactly where his wallet was in his pocket, and he seemed completely comfortable. Emma started to relax a little. They took their coffees back to the table. Emma sat down and wrapped her hands around her warm cup. Marcus did the same. For a moment, they both sipped their coffee in silence. Then Emma's brain betrayed her. "It's nice to see you," she said automatically. Her eyes went wide as soon as the words left her mouth. "See?" She had said see. She wanted to disappear into her chair. Her face felt hot with embarrassment. But Marcus just smiled. "It's nice to see you too," he said casually. "And before you feel bad about saying see, please don't. I use that word all the time. I say I'll see you later. I ask people if they see what I mean. I watch TV. These are just normal expressions. I promise I'm not offended." Emma let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I was worried about saying the wrong thing." "Most people are at first," Marcus said kindly. "But honestly, just talk to me like you would talk to anyone. I'm just a guy. I just happen to navigate the world a little differently than you do." His words made Emma feel so much better. She smiled for real this time, not a nervous smile but a genuine one. "So," Marcus said, leaning forward slightly, "tell me about teaching music. What's your favorite part?" Emma thought about it. "I love when a student finally understands something they've been struggling with. Their face just lights up. It's like watching a light bulb turn on. That moment makes all the hard work worth it." "That sounds amazing," Marcus said. "What instrument do you play?" "Violin," Emma said. "I've been playing since I was 7 years old. My parents made me start lessons, and at first I hated it. But then something clicked when I was around 10 and I fell in love with it." "What made you fall in love with it?" Marcus asked. He seemed genuinely interested in her answer. No one had ever asked Emma that question before. She thought about it carefully. "I think it was when I first played in an orchestra," she said slowly. "I realized that my small part was important to the whole sound. We were all creating something beautiful together. It felt magical." Marcus smiled and nodded. "That's exactly what I loved about music too. The connection. The way it can express things that words can't." They talked for another 30 minutes. Emma forgot to feel nervous. Marcus was easy to talk to. He was funny, making jokes about Beethoven's expensive taste in dog food and how his apartment was probably the only one in Portland organized using a label maker in Braille. He was also incredibly smart. When Emma mentioned she had been reading a book about the history of classical music, Marcus had already read it and had lots of interesting thoughts about it. Emma found herself really enjoying the conversation. This wasn't like her other blind dates at all. Marcus asked her questions and actually listened to her answers. He shared stories about his life that were interesting. He didn't complain or talk badly about other people. He was just nice, really nice. But Emma also noticed moments of sadness in Marcus. When he talked about playing piano, his voice changed. It got quieter, more distant. When a classical song came on the coffee shop speakers, he stopped talking and listened with an expression that looked almost painful. Emma wanted to ask about it, but she wasn't sure if it was too personal for a first date, so she kept the conversation light and comfortable. Then Marcus said something that surprised her. "Sarah mentioned you brought your violin," he said, his fingers tapping on his coffee cup. "Is it in that case next to you?" "Yes," Emma said. "Sarah told me to bring it, but she didn't really explain why." Marcus smiled, but this smile looked a little sad. "I have a strange request," he said, "and please feel free to say no if it makes you uncomfortable." "What is it?" Emma asked. "Would you play something for me?" "Right here?" Marcus asked. His voice was soft, almost shy. Emma looked around the coffee shop. There were more people now than when she arrived. Maybe 15 or 20. They would all hear. They would all watch. Emma usually only played in private or informal concerts. The idea of playing in a random coffee shop made her stomach flip. But when she looked back at Marcus, she saw something in his expression. Hope. Vulnerability. He had asked for this like it really mattered to him. "Okay," Emma heard herself say. "I'll play something." Marcus's whole face changed. He looked like she had just given him the best gift in the world. "Really? Thank you, Emma. Thank you so much." Emma's hands shook a little as she opened her violin case. She lifted out her violin and bow carefully. The instrument had been with her for 15 years. She knew every scratch and mark on it. It felt like an old friend in her hands. She stood up and positioned the violin under her chin. A few people in the coffee shop had noticed what was happening. Conversations got quieter. People turned to look. Emma felt her face get hot again. She didn't like being the center of attention. But she had said yes, and she couldn't back out now. She looked at Marcus. He sat perfectly still, his head tilted slightly to the side, waiting to hear her play. Emma decided on a piece, Pachelbel's Canon in D. It was beautiful, but not too complicated. She could play it well even though she was nervous. She took a breath, closed her eyes for a moment, and brought her bow to the strings. The first note came out clear and sweet. Emma kept her eyes closed for the beginning of the song. It helped her forget about all the people watching. She focused only on the music and on playing it well for Marcus. As she played, something wonderful happened. Emma stopped feeling nervous. The music took over. Her fingers moved on their own, knowing exactly where to go. The bow danced across the strings. The notes filled the small coffee shop with beauty and warmth. Emma opened her eyes and looked at Marcus. What she saw made her heart skip a beat. Marcus's face had completely transformed. His expression was intense and focused. His eyes, though they could not see, seemed somehow brighter. His mouth was slightly open and he was completely still, frozen in the moment. But his hands were not still. His fingers moved against the table, pressing invisible keys, following along with the music like he was playing an invisible piano. Emma had never seen anyone listen to music the way Marcus was listening right now. It was like the music was not just entering his ears, but filling his entire body. Every note seemed to matter to him in a way that Emma had never experienced before. She continued playing, pouring all her emotion into the piece. The coffee shop was completely silent except for her violin. Even the machines behind the counter had been turned off. Everyone was listening. As Emma reached the final measures of the song, she noticed something that made her chest feel tight. A single tear was rolling down Marcus's cheek. He didn't wipe it away. He didn't seem to notice it was there. He just sat there, listening with his whole being, a tear slowly making its way down his face. Emma played the final note and let it ring out softly before lowering her bow. For a moment, there was complete silence in the coffee shop. Then suddenly everyone started clapping. The applause was loud and enthusiastic. People at their tables were smiling and clapping. The barista behind the counter was clapping. A woman near the window was wiping her own eyes. But Emma barely heard any of it. She was watching Marcus. He quickly lifted his hand to his face and wiped away the tear. His cheeks turned a little red. He looked embarrassed, but he was also smiling, the biggest smile Emma had seen from him yet. "That was beautiful," Marcus said, his voice quiet and full of emotion. "That was absolutely beautiful, Emma. You have no idea what that meant to me." Emma carefully put her violin back in its case. Her own hands were shaking slightly from the adrenaline of performing and from seeing Marcus's reaction. She sat back down in her chair. "Thank you for listening," Emma said softly. "I'm glad you enjoyed it." "Enjoyed it?" Marcus said, shaking his head. "That's not the right word. That music. It brought back something I thought I had lost forever. That feeling of being completely inside a piece of music. I haven't felt that in so long." Emma wanted to ask him more, but she could see that Marcus was trying to collect himself. He took a sip of his coffee, which was probably cold by now. He took a deep breath and smiled at her again. "I'm sorry I got emotional," Marcus said. "That probably seems strange." "Not at all," Emma said quickly. "I think it's wonderful that music moves you so much." "It used to be my whole life," Marcus said. His voice got quieter, more serious. "Before the accident, I was a pianist. Not professionally, but seriously. I played at weddings, events, sometimes at small concerts. I practiced every single day. Music was who I was." Emma listened carefully. This was clearly important to him, and she didn't want to interrupt. "The night of the accident," Marcus continued, "I had just finished performing at a charity concert. I played a Chopin nocturne. It was one of my best performances. I felt so happy driving home. I was thinking about the next piece I wanted to learn." He paused. His jaw tensed slightly. Beethoven, who had been sleeping peacefully at his feet, lifted his head and put it on Marcus's knee, as if he could sense that his owner needed comfort. "A drunk driver ran a red light," Marcus said simply. "Hit my car on the driver's side. I was lucky, they told me. Just some broken ribs and cuts, but the head trauma damaged my optic nerves. The doctors said the blindness was permanent. No surgery could fix it." "I'm so sorry," Emma said quietly. Marcus shook his head. "The physical recovery was fine. I learned to use a cane, then I got Beethoven. I learned Braille. I figured out how to cook, clean, live independently. All of that was okay. Difficult, but okay." He stopped petting Beethoven and put both hands around his coffee cup. But the music, Marcus said, and now his voice cracked slightly. I couldn't do it anymore. I tried once, about 6 months after the accident. My mother asked me to play something at her birthday party. I sat at the piano, put my hands on the keys, and I froze. I couldn't remember what to do. My fingers felt wrong. Everything felt wrong. I played maybe 10 notes before I had to stop. I haven't touched a piano since that day. Emma felt her heart break a little for him. She could see how much pain this caused him. Music had been his identity, his joy, his purpose, and he felt like he had lost it. That was 3 years ago, Marcus said. My mother still has my piano at her house. She keeps asking me when I'm going to come play it again. I keep telling her maybe soon, but I don't think I ever will. That part of my life is over. Why do you think it's over? Emma asked gently. Marcus looked surprised by the question. Because I can't see the keys. I can't read sheet music. I can't watch my hands to make sure I'm playing the right notes. But you never needed to watch your hands when you played, Emma said softly. Real musicians play by feel and by ear, not by sight. You know that. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. It's not just about the technical part, he finally said. It's about confidence. I lost my confidence when I lost my sight. I felt like I wasn't a real musician anymore. How could I be? I couldn't even see. Emma understood then. This wasn't really about being able to play the piano. This was about how Marcus saw himself, or rather how he thought others saw him. He felt less than he used to be. He felt broken. Can I tell you something? Emma asked. Of course, Marcus said. When I was 18, I auditioned for a very famous music conservatory, Emma said. It was my dream school. I had been preparing for months. I practiced until my fingers hurt. I thought if I could just get into that school, it would mean I was a real musician. It would mean I was good enough. What happened? Marcus asked. I didn't get in, Emma said. They rejected me. And I was devastated. I thought my life was over. I thought I would never be a good musician. I actually stopped playing violin for almost 6 months. But you're playing now, Marcus said. What changed? My grandmother changed everything, Emma said, smiling at the memory. She came to visit me and found me crying in my room. I told her about not getting into the school. I told her I wasn't good enough. And she said something I've never forgotten. Emma paused, remembering her grandmother's kind face and gentle voice. She said, Emma, music is not about being good enough for other people. Music is not about fancy schools or perfect performances. Music is about expressing what's in your heart. It's about connecting with other people. As long as you can do that, you're a real musician. And no school can take that away from you. Marcus was listening intently now. I started playing again after that conversation, Emma continued. But I played differently. I stopped trying to be perfect. I stopped worrying about what others thought. I played because it made me happy. I played because it helped me express my feelings. And somehow the music got better. Not more technically perfect, but more real, more alive. That's beautiful, Marcus said quietly. What I'm trying to say, Emma said, is that you didn't lose your music when you lost your sight. Your music is still inside you. It's part of who you are. The piano is just a tool. Your heart is what makes the music. Marcus didn't respond right away. He sat there, his hands still around his coffee cup, thinking about what Emma had said. A small smile appeared on his face. That's a nice thought, he said. I want to believe it, but I'm not sure I do yet. That's okay, Emma said. You don't have to believe it right now. But maybe you could think about it. I will, Marcus promised. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. The coffee shop had returned to its normal noise level. People were back to their conversations and their laptops. But Emma and Marcus existed in their own little bubble at their table by the window. Can I ask you something? Marcus said suddenly. Anything, Emma replied. Would you want to do this again? Not just coffee, but maybe you could play for me again sometime? Marcus asked. He sounded nervous now, like he was worried she might say no. Emma smiled. I would love that. Really? Marcus's face lit up like a child on Christmas morning. Really, Emma confirmed. On one condition. What condition? Marcus asked, looking slightly worried now. Eventually, you have to tell me more about the music you used to play. I want to hear about your performances, your favorite pieces, all of it, Emma said. Marcus laughed. That's your condition? That's easy. I could talk about music for hours. Perfect, Emma said. Then we'll definitely need more than one date. Marcus's smile got even bigger. So this is a date? I wasn't sure if it was a date or just coffee. Emma felt her cheeks get warm.
Well, what do you want it to be?
Definitely a date, Marcus said without hesitation. The best first date I've ever had. Even though you cried? Emma teased gently. Especially because I cried, Marcus said seriously. That means it was real. That means something important happened here today. Emma felt warmth spread through her chest. He was right. Something important had happened. She had gone into this date expecting another disaster. But instead she had met someone special. Someone who understood music the way she did. Someone who felt things deeply and wasn't afraid to show it. They exchanged phone numbers before leaving the coffee shop. Marcus insisted on paying for both coffees even though Emma protested. They walked out together with Beethoven leading the way. Outside on the sidewalk, they stood facing each other. The late afternoon sun was warm on Emma's face. She could hear birds singing in the trees nearby. Thank you for today, Marcus said. For playing, for listening, for being so easy to talk to. This was really special. Thank you too, Emma said. I had a wonderful time. Text me when you get home? Marcus asked. So I know you made it safely. Emma's heart melted a little. I will. You do the same. Deal, Marcus said. They said goodbye and Emma walked to her car. She put her violin in the back seat and sat in the driver's seat, but she didn't start the car right away. She just sat there thinking about everything that had happened. She had gone into the coffee shop nervous and unsure. She had been worried about saying the wrong thing or making Marcus feel bad. But instead they had connected in a way that felt natural and right. They had shared stories and music and honest emotions. And that tear on Marcus's face when she played, that image was burned into Emma's mind. She had never made someone cry with her music before. Not like that. Not tears of joy and pain and remembrance all mixed together. Emma finally started her car and drove home. When she got to her apartment, she immediately texted Marcus like she had promised. Home safe. Thank you again for today. His response came quickly. Home safe too. Beethoven says hello. Same time next week? Emma smiled at her phone. Yes, absolutely yes. That night, Emma couldn't stop thinking about Marcus. She practiced her violin before bed like she always did, but tonight felt different. She thought about what her grandmother had said all those years ago. Music is about connecting with other people. Today, she had connected with Marcus through music. And that connection felt like the beginning of something important, something real. As Emma lay in bed that night, she made a decision. She wanted to help Marcus find his way back to music, not because she thought he was broken and needed fixing, but because she could see how much pain it caused him to be separated from something he loved so much. She wasn't sure how to help yet. She just knew she wanted to try. But even more than that, Emma realized something else. She wasn't just interested in Marcus because of music. She was interested in him. His kindness, his humor, his strength in facing challenges that would have broken many people. The way he had trained Beethoven and learned to navigate the world with confidence. The way he listened when she talked. Really listened. Not just waiting for his turn to speak. Emma had given up on blind dates. She had been convinced that she would never meet someone special through one of Sarah's setups. But now, lying in her bed with a smile on her face, she had to admit something. Maybe Sarah had finally gotten it right. Maybe Marcus was different from all the others. Maybe, just maybe, this could turn into something wonderful. Her phone buzzed one more time before she fell asleep. It was a message from Sarah. So, how did it go? I'm dying here. Emma laughed and typed back. It was perfect. Thank you for not giving up on me. Sarah's response was a string of happy emojis and heart symbols. Emma put her phone on her nightstand and closed her eyes. She fell asleep thinking about music, about coffee shops, about golden retrievers named Beethoven, and about a man with kind eyes who had forgotten how to play piano, but maybe, just maybe, could learn to remember. Emma woke up the next morning with butterflies in her stomach. She checked her phone immediately. There was a message from Marcus sent about an hour ago. Good morning. I hope you slept well. I couldn't stop thinking about your performance yesterday. It was incredible. Emma smiled and typed back. Good morning. I did sleep well. Thank you again for asking me to play. It meant a lot to me too. She got out of bed and made herself coffee. It was Sunday morning, and she had no plans for the day. Usually she would practice her violin, maybe read a book, perhaps call her parents. But today she felt restless in a good way. She wanted to see Marcus again already. Her phone rang while she was drinking her coffee. It was Sarah. "Tell me everything," Sarah demanded as soon as Emma answered. "And I mean everything," Emma laughed. "Hello to you too. Don't hello me. I've been waiting since yesterday afternoon. I gave you the whole evening to process, but now I need details. How was Marcus? Did you like him? Did he like you? Did you play your violin?" Sarah spoke so fast she barely took breaths. "Yes, I played. Yes, I liked him. And yes, I think he liked me too," Emma said, feeling her cheeks warm at the memory. Sarah squealed so loudly that Emma had to hold the phone away from her ear. "I knew it. I knew you two would be perfect together. Tell me what happened." Emma spent the next 30 minutes telling Sarah about the date. She described how nervous she had been at first, how Marcus had put her at ease, how they had talked about music and life. She told Sarah about playing in the coffee shop and about Marcus's tear. "He cried?" Sarah said softly. "Oh, Emma, that's beautiful." "It was," Emma agreed. "But Sarah, there's something else. He talked about his accident and about how he stopped playing piano. He seems convinced that he can never play again. It's like he's grieving this huge part of himself." Sarah was quiet for a moment. "I know. His family is really worried about him. They've tried to encourage him to play again, but he always refuses. His mother told me that before the accident, Marcus practiced piano every single day without fail. Now he won't even go near it." "That's so sad," Emma said. "It is," Sarah agreed. "But maybe you can help him. You understand music in a way most people don't. Maybe he'll listen to you." "I don't want him to think I'm trying to fix him," Emma said carefully. "I need him to know I like him for who he is right now, not who he used to be." "You're a good person, Emma Richardson," Sarah said warmly. "I think that's exactly the kind of understanding Marcus needs." After Emma hung up with Sarah, she thought about what her friend had said. Could she help Marcus find his way back to music? And more importantly, should she try? They had only met once. She didn't want to push too hard too fast. Emma's phone buzzed with another message from Marcus. "What are you doing today? Would you like to go for a walk? Beethoven needs exercise, and I'd love to see you again, if that's not too soon." Emma's heart jumped. She typed back immediately. "I'd love to. Where should I meet you?" "There's a park near my apartment." "Forest Park, do you know it?" Marcus replied. "I do." "What time?" Emma asked. "How about noon? There's a coffee cart at the entrance if you want to grab something warm to drink," Marcus suggested. "Perfect. See you at noon," Emma sent back. She looked at the clock. It was only 9:30. She had 2.5 hours to get ready. She jumped in the shower, washed her hair, and spent probably too much time choosing an outfit. She finally settled on comfortable jeans, a warm jacket, and sneakers good for walking. Emma arrived at Forest Park at 11:55. Marcus was already there, standing near the entrance with Beethoven sitting patiently beside him. Marcus was wearing jeans and a dark blue jacket. He looked good. Really good. "Hi," Emma said as she approached. Marcus turned toward her voice with a big smile. "You're early. I like that about you." "You're early too," Emma pointed out. "I'm always early," Marcus admitted. "It's easier than trying to arrive exactly on time." Plus Beethoven was excited. "He loves this park." As if understanding that they were talking about him, Beethoven wagged his tail and looked up at Emma with big brown eyes. "Can I pet him?" Emma asked. She had heard that you shouldn't pet working dogs without permission. "Yes, he's off duty right now. He'd love some attention," Marcus said. Emma bent down and petted Beethoven's soft golden fur. The dog leaned into her hand, clearly enjoying the attention. "He's so sweet," Emma said. "He's the best," Marcus agreed. "I don't know what I'd do without him. He's not just a guide dog. He's my best friend." They bought coffee from the cart and started walking into the park. The path was wide and smooth, perfect for walking. Trees lined both sides, their leaves turning beautiful shades of red, orange, and yellow. It was a gorgeous fall day, cool but not cold, with blue sky peeking through the branches. Marcus walked confidently with Beethoven guiding him. Emma walked beside them, occasionally describing things she saw when it seemed natural. She told him about the colors of the leaves, about a squirrel running up a tree, about a family having a picnic on the grass. "I love autumn," Marcus said. "I can't see the colors anymore, but I can feel the change in the air. It smells different. It feels different on my skin. And the sound of leaves crunching under our feet is one of my favorite sounds." Emma listened to the leaves crunching, and realized she had never really paid attention to that sound before. Marcus experienced the world so differently than she did. He noticed things she took for granted. "What do you miss most about seeing?" Emma asked, then immediately worried it was too personal a question. But Marcus didn't seem bothered. "That's a good question. Most people are afraid to ask me anything about being blind." "I don't want to make you uncomfortable," Emma said quickly. "You're not," Marcus assured her. "I'd rather people ask questions than make assumptions." "So what do I miss most?" He thought for a moment as they walked. "Faces. I miss seeing people's faces. I can hear emotions in voices, but I miss being able to look at someone and see them smile, or see their eyes light up when they're happy." "I miss that connection." Emma felt a pang of sadness for him. "That must be really hard." "It is," Marcus admitted, "especially when meeting new people, like with you. I can hear that you have a kind voice. Beethoven likes you, which is a good sign. But I wish I could see your face. I bet you have a beautiful smile." Emma blushed and was grateful he couldn't see it. "Thank you," she said softly. They walked in silence for a few minutes, just enjoying the day and each other's company. Emma noticed how comfortable the silence was. With some people, silence felt awkward. With Marcus, it felt natural. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said after a while. "Of course." "Why did you agree to meet me yesterday?" "Sarah told me you had sworn off blind dates," Marcus said. Emma laughed. "That's true. I had sworn them off. Sarah set me up 3 times before you, and all 3 were disasters." "What happened?" Marcus asked, sounding curious. Emma told him about Derek, who only talked about himself, Tom, who brought his mother, and Brian, who cried about his ex-girlfriend. Marcus laughed so hard at the stories that he had to stop walking for a moment. "And after all that, you still agreed to meet me?" Marcus said. "I'm honored." "Sarah was very persistent," Emma said. "But I'm really glad I said yes. You're nothing like those other guys." "Well, I promise I will never bring my mother on a date," Marcus joked, "although she would probably like you. She's always asking when I'm going to meet someone nice." "Do you date a lot?" Emma asked, then felt embarrassed. "Sorry, that's probably too personal." "No, it's okay," Marcus said. "To be honest, I don't date much. After my accident, I went through a phase where I didn't want to date anyone. I felt like I was damaged goods. Why would anyone want to be with someone who couldn't see? Someone who needed a guide dog and couldn't drive a car or do normal things?" "That's not true," Emma said firmly. "You're not damaged goods. You're just you." Marcus smiled sadly. "I know that logically, but emotionally, it's hard to believe sometimes. I did try dating about a year after the accident. I went on a few dates with different women. Some of them were nice, but I could tell they saw me as a charity case, like they were doing a good deed by dating the blind guy. Others just couldn't handle it. They didn't know how to act around me. They treated me like I was fragile, like I might break." Emma could hear the hurt in his voice. "That must have felt awful." "It did," Marcus said. "So I stopped trying for a while. But then Sarah kept telling me about you. She said you were kind and creative and that you wouldn't care about me being blind. She said you would see me for who I am, not what I can't do." "Sarah was right," Emma said. "I don't care that you're blind. I mean, obviously it's part of your life, but it doesn't define you. You're smart and funny and interesting. That's what I see." Marcus stopped walking and turned toward her voice. "Thank you, Emma. That means more to me than you know." They continued walking, going deeper into the park. Emma noticed that Marcus seemed more relaxed now, more open. She decided to ask the question that had been on her mind since yesterday. "Why did you stop playing piano?"
she asked gently.
"I know you said you tried once and it didn't work out, but was that really the only reason?" Marcus was quiet for a long time. Emma worried she had pushed too far. But finally he spoke. "I'm going to tell you something I haven't told anyone," Marcus said quietly. "Not my family, not my therapist, not anyone." "You don't have to tell me if you're not ready," Emma said. "No, I want to," Marcus said. I think I need to say it out loud." They found a bench on the side of the path and sat down. Beethoven lay down at their feet. Marcus turned his body toward Emma. "The real reason I stopped playing piano," Marcus began, "is because I'm scared. Not scared that I can't do it technically. I know I could probably relearn it. I know blind people can play piano. But I'm scared of how it will feel." "What do you mean?" Emma asked softly. "Before the accident, when I played piano, I was confident. I felt powerful and in control. Music was the one area of my life where I knew exactly who I was and what I could do. I was a pianist. That was my identity, Marcus explained. His hands were fidgeting in his lap. But now everything is different. I'm not confident anymore. I don't feel powerful or in control. I feel vulnerable and uncertain most of the time. And I'm scared that if I sit down at that piano and try to play, I'll realize I'm not the person I used to be. The music will sound different. It will feel different. And that will confirm what I'm most afraid of. What are you most afraid of? Emma asked, even though she thought she already knew the answer. That I'm not me anymore, Marcus said, and his voice cracked slightly. That the accident didn't just take my sight. It took the best parts of who I was. It took my confidence, my identity, my purpose. If I can't play piano the way I used to, then who am I? Emma's heart broke for him. She reached over and gently took his hand. He held on tight. Marcus, she said carefully, can I tell you what I think? Please, he said. I think you're still you. You're still the person who loves music so much that he cries when he hears a beautiful piece. You're still the person who trained his dog perfectly and walks confidently through the world. You're still the person who makes jokes and tells interesting stories and asks thoughtful questions. Those things didn't disappear with your sight. But the piano, Marcus started. The piano is just one part of you, Emma interrupted gently. And yes, playing it might feel different now. It probably will feel different. But different doesn't mean worse. Different doesn't mean less. It just means different. Marcus was quiet, thinking about her words. My grandmother told me something else, Emma continued. She said that sometimes we have to lose something to gain something else. Maybe you lost the ability to play piano the way you used to, but maybe you gained the ability to hear music in a deeper way. Maybe you gained empathy and strength. Maybe you gained perspective about what really matters in life. That's a beautiful way to think about it, Marcus said. But I'm not sure I'm there yet. I'm not sure I can see my blindness as something that gave me things instead of just taking things away. That's okay, Emma said. You don't have to be there yet, but maybe someday you will be. They sat on the bench for a long time, just holding hands and listening to the sounds of the park around them. Birds singing, children laughing in the distance, the wind rustling through the leaves. Finally, Marcus spoke again. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not trying to fix me or tell me I'm wrong for feeling the way I do. You're not wrong, Emma said. Your feelings are valid. Going through what you went through is really hard. Anyone would struggle with it. Marcus squeezed her hand. You're pretty amazing, Emma Richardson. I'm really glad Sarah forced you to meet me. Emma laughed. Me too. They got up from the bench and continued walking through the park. The conversation shifted to lighter topics. Marcus told funny stories about learning to use his cane before he got Beethoven. He described walking into poles and tripping over curbs while everyone around him tried not to stare. Emma told stories about her students, like the little boy who insisted on playing the violin backwards because he thought it looked cooler that way. By the time they finished their walk, it was mid-afternoon. They had been together for over 3 hours, and it had felt like 30 minutes. Can I see you again soon? Marcus asked as they stood near the park entrance. How about Tuesday? I finished teaching at 4, Emma suggested. Perfect. Let's get dinner this time. Actual dinner, not just coffee, Marcus said with a smile. I'd love that, Emma replied. She watched Marcus and Beethoven walk away, and she felt a mix of emotions swirling inside her. She was falling for him. She knew that now. It had only been 2 days, but she was definitely falling for him. His honesty, his vulnerability, his strength in the face of real challenges. Everything about him drew her in. But she also felt worried. Marcus was carrying so much pain about his identity and his music. Emma wanted to help him, but she didn't know how. She didn't want to push too hard and make him feel pressured, but she also didn't want to stand by and watch him suffer when maybe, just maybe, she could help him find his way back to something he loved. As Emma drove home that afternoon, she made a decision. She would do some research. She would learn about blind musicians, about how they learned and practiced and performed. Maybe if she could show Marcus that other people had found ways to make music after losing their sight, he would believe it was possible for him too. That evening, Emma spent hours on her laptop. She watched videos of blind pianists performing incredible pieces. She read articles about how they memorized music and learned new songs. She discovered that some of the most famous musicians in history were blind. Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Andrea Bocelli. They hadn't let blindness stop them from creating beautiful music. Emma took notes on everything she learned. She wanted to be prepared. She wanted to have answers if Marcus asked questions. But more than that, she wanted to understand his world better. She wanted to know what challenges he would face if he decided to play again. By the time Emma went to bed that night, her head was full of information and ideas. She fell asleep thinking about Marcus and music and the possibility of helping someone she was growing to care about, very deeply, find his way back to something beautiful. Over the next 3 weeks, Emma and Marcus saw each other 6 more times. Each date was better than the last. They fell into an easy rhythm together, like they had known each other for years instead of weeks. On their second date, they went to a small Italian restaurant. Marcus told Emma about his work as a software engineer. He explained how he used screen-reading software that converted text to speech. Emma was amazed at how fast the computer voice talked and how Marcus could understand every word. He laughed and said it was like learning a new language. Their third date was a concert at the Symphony Hall. Emma had been worried that sitting in a dark concert hall might be uncomfortable for Marcus, but he loved it. He sat completely still during the performance, absorbing every note. During intermission, he gave Emma such detailed descriptions of what he heard that she felt like she was listening to the music for the first time. On the fourth date, they walked through a bookstore. Marcus showed Emma how he could download audiobooks on his phone. They spent 2 hours browsing, with Emma reading him the back covers of books and Marcus telling her which ones sounded interesting. They bought 3 books between them and promised to discuss them later. The fifth date was lunch at a cafe near Emma's school. Marcus came straight from work, still wearing his business casual clothes. Emma thought he looked very handsome. They talked about their childhoods and their families. Marcus told her about growing up in Seattle with his parents and younger sister. Emma told him about her parents in California and her grandmother who had passed away 2 years ago. The sixth date was another walk in the park. It was raining lightly, but neither of them cared. They shared an umbrella and talked about their dreams for the future. Marcus admitted he wanted to travel more but felt nervous about navigating airports and new cities alone. Emma said she would love to travel with him someday. The way Marcus smiled when she said that made Emma's heart race. Their seventh date was a movie. Marcus explained that he usually avoided movies because he couldn't see them, but there was a special screening with audio description. A narrator described the visual elements during pauses in the dialogue. Emma found it fascinating. She had never thought about how blind people could enjoy movies. Through all these dates, Emma learned so much about Marcus. She learned that he took his coffee with exactly 1 sugar, no more and no less. She learned that he made terrible jokes and then laughed at them himself. She learned that he was incredibly kind, always thanking servers and holding doors open for strangers. She learned that he loved science fiction books and hated romantic comedies. She learned that his favorite food was pizza, and he could eat an entire large pizza by himself if no one stopped him. But she also learned that he avoided any conversation about playing music himself. He loved listening to music. He loved talking about music. But whenever Emma tried to ask about his own piano playing, he would change the subject quickly. It was like a wall came up, protecting him from something too painful to touch. Emma brought her violin to most of their dates. Sometimes she would play for him at her apartment after dinner. Marcus would sit on her couch with his eyes closed, listening with that same intense focus he had shown on their first date. Sometimes his fingers would move against his knee, playing invisible keys, but he never mentioned wanting to play again. And Emma didn't push. On their seventh date after the movie, they walked back to Marcus's apartment building. Emma had not been inside yet. Marcus invited her up for coffee. Emma agreed, curious to see where he lived. Marcus's apartment was on the 3rd floor of a modern building. When he opened the door, Emma was surprised by how organized everything was. Nothing was out of place. The furniture was arranged neatly. The kitchen was spotless. "Wow, your place is so clean," Emma said. "My apartment always looks like a tornado went through it." Marcus laughed. "I have to keep it organized. If I leave things lying around, I trip over them. Everything has its place. My keys always go on this hook by the door. My shoes always go in this closet. My coffee mugs are always on the 2nd shelf. It's the only way I can find things." Emma noticed labels in Braille on many items. The spice containers, the canned goods, even the light switches had labels. Marcus moved through his apartment with complete confidence, never bumping into anything or hesitating about where things were. He made them both coffee using a machine that talked to him, telling him when the water was ready and when the coffee was done. They sat on his comfortable couch with their coffee mugs. I really like spending time with you, Marcus said suddenly. These past 3 weeks have been really special to me. To me too, Emma said warmly. I think about you all the time. Really? Marcus sounded pleased and surprised. Really, Emma confirmed. You're different from anyone I've ever met. In the best way possible. Marcus reached over and found her hand. He held it gently. Emma, I need to tell you something. I'm falling for you. Like really falling for you. And I'm a little scared about it. Emma's heart started beating faster. Why are you scared? Because I'm worried that you see me as a project, Marcus said quietly. Someone broken that you want to fix. I need to know that's not what this is. Emma felt a sharp pain in her chest. Marcus, no. That's not what this is at all. I mean, yes, I want to help you with things if I can. But that's not why I like you. I like you because you're funny and smart and kind. I like you because you make me think about things differently. I like you because when I'm with you, I feel happy and comfortable and like I can be myself. I'm falling for you too, Emma continued. And I'm scared too. Not because you're blind, but because I haven't felt this way about someone in a long time, maybe ever. And that's scary because it means I could get hurt. Marcus squeezed her hand. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you either, Emma said. They sat there holding hands for a moment. Then Marcus leaned toward her and Emma leaned toward him. Their first kiss was gentle and sweet. When they pulled apart, both of them were smiling. That was nice, Marcus said. Very nice, Emma agreed. They spent the rest of the evening cuddled on the couch, talking and laughing and occasionally kissing. Emma felt like she was floating. This was real. This was something special. She was falling in love with Marcus Chen, and he was falling in love with her. But even in her happiness, Emma couldn't stop thinking about the piano. About how Marcus had given up something he loved. About how he still suffered from that loss every day. She wanted to help him, but she didn't know how to do it without making him feel like a project to fix. The next day, Emma called Sarah. She needed advice from someone who knew Marcus and his family. Sarah, I need your help, Emma said when her friend answered. What's wrong? Did something happen with Marcus? Sarah sounded worried. No, everything is great with Marcus. Really great, but I want to do something for him, and I need your opinion on whether it's a good idea or a terrible idea, Emma explained. Okay, tell me, Sarah said. Emma took a deep breath. I want to help Marcus play piano again. Not because I think he needs to be fixed, but because I can see how much pain it causes him to be separated from music. I've been doing research on blind musicians. I know it's possible, but I don't want to push too hard and make him feel pressured or like I'm trying to change him. Sarah was quiet for a moment. What did you have in mind? I was thinking, what if I could get his piano and have it delivered to my apartment? Then maybe during one of our dates I could very casually mention that I have a piano, and he's welcome to try playing if he ever wants to. No pressure, just an option, Emma said. That's actually not a bad idea, Sarah said slowly, making it available without forcing him to make a big decision about it. But Emma, you need to be prepared for the possibility that he might get upset. This is a really sensitive topic for him. I know, Emma said, but I think he needs a safe space to try. Somewhere where if he makes mistakes or can't do it, he won't feel judged. My apartment could be that safe space. Let me talk to his mother, Sarah said. She has his piano. I'll ask if we can borrow it for a while. I won't tell her exactly why, just that it might help Marcus. Thank you, Sarah, Emma said gratefully. 2 days later, Sarah called back with good news. Marcus's mother was more than happy to lend the piano. She would even pay for the delivery. She was so hopeful that Marcus might finally play again that she offered to help in any way possible. She's a really sweet lady, Sarah told Emma. She cried when I told her you and Marcus were dating. She's been so worried about him being alone and sad. She said you sound like exactly what he needs. Emma felt the weight of that expectation. She hoped she wouldn't let everyone down. The piano was delivered the following Saturday morning. It was a beautiful upright Yamaha, dark wood with ivory keys that showed years of use. The delivery men placed it against the wall in Emma's living room. It took up a lot of space in her small apartment, but it fit. After the delivery men left, Emma sat at the piano bench and carefully pressed one key. The sound was beautiful, rich and clear. She imagined young Marcus sitting at this same piano, practicing for hours, falling in love with music. Something smells amazing, Marcus said. Is that your homemade sauce? It is, Emma confirmed. Dinner is almost ready. Do you want to sit in the living room while I finish up? Sure, Marcus said. Beethoven stood up to guide him, but then the dog stopped. His ears perked up. He looked at the piano, then back at Marcus. Emma held her breath. Marcus walked into the living room, and she saw the exact moment he realized something was different. His steps slowed. His hand reached out, searching. Then his fingers touched the piano. He froze completely still. Emma, he said quietly. His voice was strained. What is this? Emma came out of the kitchen, her heart pounding. It's your piano. Your mom let me borrow it. I'm sorry if I overstepped. I thought maybe if it was here, somewhere safe, somewhere with no pressure, you might want to try playing again someday. But you don't have to. There's no pressure at all. It can just sit here. I won't mention it again if you don't want me to. Marcus stood with his hand on the piano, not moving. Emma couldn't read his expression. Was he angry? Sad? Upset? The silence stretched out for what felt like forever. Finally, Marcus spoke. Why did you do this? Because I care about you, Emma said honestly. Because I can see how much it hurts you to be away from music. Because I think you might regret it if you never try again. But Marcus, I promise this doesn't change anything between us. I don't love you because you're a pianist. I love you because you're you. Emma's eyes widened as soon as the word love left her mouth. She hadn't meant to say it. Not yet, it was too soon. But it was out there now, hanging in the air between them. Marcus's jaw tightened. Emma saw his throat move as he swallowed hard. A tear ran down his cheek. You love me? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Yes, Emma admitted. I love you. Marcus was quiet for another long moment. Then slowly, very slowly, he pulled out the piano bench and sat down. His hands hovered over the keys, trembling slightly. I don't know if I can do this, Marcus whispered. What if I try and I fail? What if I've forgotten everything? Emma walked over and sat down on the bench next to him. She placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Then you fail. And that's okay. But Marcus, you'll never know unless you try. And I'll be right here with you no matter what happens. Marcus took a shaky breath. His fingers touched the keys but didn't press down yet. Emma could see the war happening inside him. Fear fighting against hope. Pain fighting against possibility. You don't have to play a masterpiece, Emma said softly, repeating the words she had thought about saying. Just play what you feel. Just one note. That's all, just to see how it feels. Marcus nodded slowly. He took another deep breath. Then with a trembling hand he pressed down on middle C. One single note rang out in the small apartment. Clear, pure, beautiful. Marcus sat perfectly still, his finger still on the key, listening to the note fade away into silence. Another tear rolled down his face. Then he played another note, and another. Slowly, hesitantly, a simple melody began to emerge. Emma recognized it after a few notes. It was the Chopin Nocturne, the piece he had played the night of his accident. The piece he hadn't touched in 5 years. His playing was shaky. He hit wrong notes. His timing was off. His muscle memory fought against his fear. But he didn't stop. He kept playing through the mistakes, through the imperfections, through the tears that were now flowing freely down his face. Emma sat beside him with her hand on his shoulder, her own tears falling silently. She didn't say anything. She just sat there, present and supportive, exactly what Marcus needed. When Marcus reached the end of the piece, his hands lifted from the keys. He sat there, shoulders shaking, crying in a way that seemed to come from deep inside his soul. It was the sound of grief and relief all mixed together, the sound of letting go of pain he had carried for so long. Emma wrapped her arms around him and held him while he cried. Beethoven came over and put his head on Marcus's knee, sensing that his owner needed comfort. After several minutes, Marcus's crying slowed. He wiped his face with his hands and took some deep, shaky breaths. I did it, he said, his voice rough from crying. I actually did it. You did, Emma said, her own voice thick with emotion. You were so brave, Marcus. I'm so proud of you. Marcus turned toward her voice and found her face with his hands. He gently traced her features with his fingers, learning the shape of her face the way he could never do with his eyes. Then he kissed her, a kiss full of gratitude and love and hope for the future. When they pulled apart, Marcus was smiling through his tears. Thank you, he said, for believing in me, for giving me a safe place to try. for loving me enough to push me when I needed pushing. I'll always believe in you, Emma promised. They sat at the piano for hours that night. Marcus played more pieces from memory, some better than others. Sometimes he would forget parts and have to restart. Sometimes he would get frustrated and want to stop, but Emma would encourage him to keep going. Beethoven lay patiently at their feet the entire time. Emma watched Marcus's face as he played, and she saw something beautiful happening. The shame and fear were slowly being replaced by joy. The pain was giving way to peace. He wasn't the same pianist he had been before the accident. He was something new, something different. And that was okay. Around midnight, Marcus finally closed the piano lid. He looked exhausted but happy. Really happy in a way Emma had never seen before. I should probably head home, Marcus said. But Emma, thank you. For everything. For tonight. For loving me. For seeing the person I could be when I couldn't see it myself. Emma walked him to the door. They kissed goodbye for a long time. After Marcus left, Emma stood in her apartment looking at the piano. She thought about everything that had happened tonight. The fear, the tears, the breakthrough, the joy. She had been right to take the risk. She had been right to push gently when Marcus needed it. And she had been right to tell him she loved him, even though it had slipped out by accident, because she did love him, completely and truly. And tonight she had helped him find a piece of himself that he thought he had lost forever. Emma went to bed that night feeling like she was glowing from the inside. She and Marcus had taken a huge step forward together, both in their relationship and in his healing journey. The future felt bright and full of possibility, and Emma couldn't wait to see what came next. The morning after Marcus played piano for the first time in 5 years, Emma woke up to find 20 text messages from him. She smiled as she read through them. The first message came at 6 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I keep thinking about last night. Thank you. The second message came 10 minutes later. I played for almost 4 hours after I got home. My fingers hurt, but in a good way. The third message said, I woke up my neighbor. He knocked on my door to ask if I was okay. I told him I was better than okay. Emma laughed, reading through all the messages. The last one simply said, I love you too. I forgot to say it last night, but I do. I love you. Emma's heart felt so full it might burst. She typed back, I love you. How are your fingers this morning? Sore, worth it, Marcus replied immediately. Can I see you today? Come over for breakfast. I'll make pancakes, Emma offered. I'll be there in an hour, Marcus responded. Emma jumped out of bed and got ready quickly. She made a big batch of pancakes, scrambled eggs, and fresh orange juice. Marcus arrived exactly 1 hour later with Beethoven and a huge smile on his face. You look happy, Emma said as she opened the door. I am happy, Marcus said. He pulled her into a hug and kissed her. Happier than I've been in 5 years. Over breakfast, Marcus told Emma about playing at home after their date. He described how at first he was nervous being alone at his own piano. But then the muscle memory took over, and his hands remembered songs he thought he had forgotten. He played everything he could remember. Simple songs from his childhood, complex classical pieces, even pop songs he used to play for fun. I made so many mistakes, Marcus said with a laugh. My timing was off. I forgot entire sections. But Emma, I didn't care. I was making music again. That's all that mattered. I'm so happy for you, Emma said sincerely. It's because of you, Marcus said seriously. You gave me my music back. You gave me back a part of myself I thought was gone forever. After breakfast, they sat at Emma's piano together. Marcus played while Emma listened. She noticed that his playing was already smoother than last night. His confidence was growing with each note. She could see the joy on his face as his fingers moved across the keys. Play something with me, Marcus said suddenly, stopping mid-song. What do you mean? Emma asked. Get your violin. Let's play together, Marcus suggested. I'll play piano, you play violin. We can make something beautiful together. Emma loved this idea. She got her violin and stood next to the piano. What should we play? How about Canon in D? The piece you played on our first date, Marcus said. Emma positioned her violin and nodded, then realized Marcus couldn't see her nod. Yes, let's do it. Marcus began playing the piano accompaniment. After a few measures, Emma joined in with her violin. The two instruments blended together perfectly, creating something richer and fuller than either could make alone. Emma watched Marcus's face as they played. He looked completely at peace, lost in the music they were creating together. When the song ended, both of them sat in the beautiful silence that followed. "That was perfect," Marcus whispered. "It really was," Emma agreed. Over the next few months, playing music together became their favorite thing to do. Marcus came to Emma's apartment several times a week, and they would spend hours making music. Sometimes they played classical pieces. Sometimes they improvised, creating melodies on the spot. Sometimes they just sat at the piano and talked while Marcus's fingers wandered over the keys. Emma watched Marcus transform during this time. The sadness that had always lingered behind his eyes slowly disappeared. He smiled more. He laughed more. He talked about the future with excitement instead of resignation. Music had healed something deep inside him that Emma couldn't have reached with just words or love. It needed to be healed by the music itself. One evening, about 3 months after that first breakthrough night, Marcus came to Emma's apartment looking nervous and excited at the same time. "I have something to tell you," Marcus said as soon as he walked in the door. "What is it?" Emma asked, curious about his mix of emotions. "There's a community concert happening next month at the local arts center. They're looking for musicians to perform. It's not a big deal, just a small event where local artists can share their talents. And I was thinking—" Marcus paused and took a deep breath. "I was thinking maybe I could play. Maybe we could play together." Emma's eyes went wide. "Really? You want to perform in front of people?" "I'm terrified," Marcus admitted honestly. "But I think I'm ready. And I don't want to do it alone. I want you there with me. Will you play violin while I play piano?" Emma felt tears spring to her eyes. This was huge. This was Marcus not just playing again, but sharing his music with the world. This was him reclaiming his identity as a musician in the most public way possible. "Yes," Emma said without hesitation. "Of course I'll play with you. I would be honored." Marcus let out a breath he seemed to have been holding. "Really, you'll do it?" "Absolutely," Emma confirmed. "What do you want to play?" "The Chopin Nocturne," Marcus said quietly. "The piece I played the night of the accident. The piece I played the first time I sat at your piano. I think I need to play it in front of people to finally make peace with everything that happened." Emma understood. This wasn't just about performing. This was about closure. This was about showing himself and the world that the accident didn't define him or limit him. This was about transformation. They spent the next month practicing almost every day. Marcus was determined to play the piece perfectly, but Emma kept reminding him that perfection wasn't the goal. Connection was the goal. Emotion was the goal. Sharing something beautiful was the goal. Some practice sessions were wonderful. Marcus would play flawlessly, his fingers flowing across the keys with confidence. Other sessions were frustrating. He would make mistakes and get angry at himself, wanting to start over again and again. Emma learned when to encourage him to keep going and when to suggest they take a break and try again later. "I'm so nervous about making mistakes in front of people," Marcus confessed one evening during practice. "Everyone makes mistakes," Emma said gently. "Even the greatest pianists in the world make mistakes during performances. But you know what? The audience usually doesn't even notice. And if they do notice, they don't care. They're just happy to hear live music. But what if I freeze up like I did at my mom's birthday party? What if I sit down at the piano and can't play?" Marcus's voice was tight with anxiety. Emma took his hands in hers. "Then I'll be right there next to you, and we'll figure it out together. But Marcus, you've played this piece dozens of times now. Your hands know what to do. Your heart knows what to do. You just have to trust yourself." Marcus squeezed her hands. "I trust you, and I'm trying to trust myself." The night of the concert arrived faster than either of them expected. Emma woke up that morning with butterflies in her stomach. She couldn't imagine how nervous Marcus must be feeling. She went to Marcus's apartment to help him get ready. She picked out a nice shirt and tie for him and told him he looked very handsome. Marcus tried to eat breakfast but could only manage a few bites. He was too nervous. "What if I mess up?" Marcus asked for the 100th time. "Then you mess up," Emma said calmly, "and life goes on. But I don't think you'll mess up. I think you're going to be amazing." They arrived at the Arts Center early. It was a small venue with maybe 150 seats. The stage was simple with a piano already set up. Emma helped Marcus get comfortable with the space, describing the layout and walking him through where everything was located. Other performers arrived and did their sound checks. There was a woman who sang jazz songs, a teenage boy who played guitar, a poetry reader, and a dance group. The atmosphere was friendly and supportive. Everyone was there because they loved art and wanted to share it with their community. Marcus and Emma were scheduled to perform last. Emma thought this was good because it gave Marcus more time to prepare mentally, but it also meant more time to be nervous. They sat backstage as the show began. Emma could hear the audience arriving, people chatting and finding their seats. She looked over at Marcus. He was very quiet, his hands clasped together in his lap. Beethoven sat pressed against his leg, sensing his owner's anxiety. "How are you doing?" Emma asked softly. "I'm okay," Marcus said, though his voice shook slightly. "Just really nervous." "That's completely normal," Emma assured him. "I always get nervous before performing, too." The show began, and they listened to the other performers from backstage. Each act was unique and special in its own way. The audience was warm and appreciative, clapping enthusiastically after each performance. Finally, it was their turn. The MC announced them to the audience. "And for our final performance of the evening, please welcome Marcus Chen on piano and Emma Richardson on violin. They'll be playing Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major." Emma stood up and took Marcus's hand. "Ready?" she asked. Marcus stood up slowly. He took a deep breath. "Ready." They walked onto the stage together with Beethoven guiding Marcus. The audience clapped politely. Emma led Marcus to the piano bench and made sure he was comfortable. Then she stood beside the piano with her violin ready. Emma looked out at the audience. The theater lights were dim, but she could see faces looking back at them with interest and kindness. She saw Sarah sitting in the third row with a huge smile on her face. Next to Sarah was an older woman who looked like Marcus. It had to be his mother. She was crying before the music even started. Emma looked down at Marcus. He had his hands positioned over the keys, but he hadn't started playing yet. She could see his hands trembling slightly. Her heart ached for him. She knew how scared he was. "You've got this," Emma whispered, just loud enough for Marcus to hear, but not loud enough for the microphones to pick up. "I'm right here with you. We're going to make something beautiful together." Marcus nodded. He took one more deep breath. Then his fingers touched the keys. The first notes of the Chopin Nocturne filled the small theater. Soft, delicate, perfect. Emma watched Marcus's face change as he began to play. The fear melted away. The nervousness disappeared. All that remained was Marcus and the music. His fingers moved across the keys with grace and confidence. This was muscle memory from years of practice. This was love and passion and soul poured into sound. After several measures, Emma brought her violin up and joined him. Their instruments created a conversation, the piano and violin dancing around each other, complementing each other perfectly. Emma had never felt so connected to another musician. It was like they shared one heartbeat, one breath, one purpose. The audience sat in complete silence, mesmerized by what they were hearing. This wasn't just a performance. This was witnessing something sacred. This was transformation made audible. This was a man reclaiming a part of himself he thought was lost forever. Marcus played the piece all the way through without a single mistake. Not one wrong note, not one missed timing. His hands remembered everything. And more than that, his heart remembered why he had fallen in love with music in the first place. As they reached the final section of the piece, Emma saw tears on Marcus's face again. But these weren't tears of pain or loss like that first night at the coffee shop. These were tears of joy, tears of healing, tears of finally coming home to himself. The final notes rang out softly and slowly faded into silence. For a moment, nobody moved. The audience sat frozen, holding on to the last echoes of the music. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Then the entire audience was on their feet, giving Marcus and Emma a standing ovation. People were cheering. Some were crying. The applause went on and on. Emma looked at Marcus. He was crying openly now, but he was smiling the biggest smile she had ever seen. He stood up from the piano bench and Emma hugged him tight. The audience clapped even louder. When they finally left the stage, Marcus was immediately surrounded by people. His mother rushed over and hugged him, sobbing into his shoulder. "I'm so proud of you," she kept saying over and over. So proud." Sarah hugged both Emma and Marcus, crying happy tears. Other audience members came up to shake Marcus's hand and tell him how beautiful the performance was. An elderly man told Marcus that it was the most moving thing he had heard in years. A young girl asked Marcus how he learned to play so well without being able to see the keys. Marcus explained patiently and kindly, and the girl looked at him with awe. Through it all, Marcus kept reaching for Emma's hand, making sure she was still there beside him. She was, and she always would be. Later that night, after all the excitement had died down, Emma and Marcus sat on the couch in her apartment. They were exhausted but happy. Beethoven was asleep on the floor, tired from all the attention he had received at the concert. "I can't believe I did it," Marcus said, still sounding amazed. "I actually performed in front of people." "You were incredible," Emma said. "Perfect. Absolutely perfect." "I wasn't perfect," Marcus corrected with a smile. "But I was present. I was authentic. I was myself, and that felt better than perfect ever could." Emma rested her head on his shoulder. "I'm so proud of you. You were so brave tonight." "I couldn't have done it without you," Marcus said seriously. "None of this would have happened without you. The piano in your apartment, the encouragement to try, the patient practice sessions standing beside me on that stage. You gave me back my music, Emma. You gave me back myself." "You did the hard work," Emma said. "I just believed in you." "Sometimes that's exactly what someone needs," Marcus said softly. "Someone to believe in them when they can't believe in themselves." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just enjoying being together after such an emotional evening. "Emma," Marcus said after a few minutes, "can I ask you something?" "Anything," Emma replied. Marcus shifted on the couch to face her more directly. He took both of her hands in his. "These past few months with you have been the happiest of my life. You've helped me heal in ways I didn't think possible. You've shown me that losing my sight didn't mean losing myself. You've loved me so completely and patiently, and I love you more than I knew it was possible to love someone." Emma's heart started beating faster. She had a feeling she knew where this was going. "I know it soon," Marcus continued. "We've only been together for a few months. But when you know, you know. And I know that I want to spend my life with you. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to make music with you every evening. I want to face whatever challenges come our way together. Emma Richardson, will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Emma's face. "Yes," she said through her tears. "Yes, Marcus. Of course I'll marry you." Marcus let out a laugh of pure joy and relief. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Inside was a beautiful ring with a simple diamond. "Sarah helped me pick it out," Marcus admitted. "She described it to me in detail. I hope you like it." "It's perfect," Emma said as Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger. "Everything about this is perfect." They kissed, and Emma felt like her heart might explode from happiness. Just a few months ago, she had been reluctant to go on one more blind date. Now she was engaged to the most wonderful man she had ever met. "Thank you for saying yes," Marcus whispered against her hair as they embraced. "Thank you for asking," Emma whispered back. "Thank you for being brave enough to try again, both with piano and with love." "Thank you for being patient enough to wait for me to be ready," Marcus replied. They stayed up late that night, making plans and dreaming about the future. They talked about where they would live, what kind of wedding they wanted, whether they would get a dog to keep Beethoven company. They talked about traveling together and teaching music together and growing old together. 2 years later, Marcus and Emma stood at the front of a beautiful outdoor venue surrounded by family and friends. It was their wedding day. Sarah stood next to Emma as her maid of honor, crying happy tears like she had been doing all day. Marcus's sister stood next to him as his best woman. Beethoven sat proudly at Marcus's feet wearing a bow tie. The ceremony was beautiful and simple. They wrote their own vows. Emma promised to always believe in Marcus, to support his dreams and to make music with him for the rest of their lives. Marcus promised to always appreciate Emma's patience, to love her completely, and to never take for granted the gift she had given him by helping him find his way back to music and to himself. After they were pronounced husband and wife, Marcus did something that surprised everyone. He walked over to a piano that had been set up nearby, the same piano from his mother's house, the same piano that now lived in the home he and Emma shared, the same piano where he had first played again after 5 years of silence. Without saying anything, Marcus sat down at the piano and began to play. It was the Chopin Nocturne, the piece he had played the night of his accident, the piece he had played on their first real breakthrough together, the piece he had performed at the community concert. Now he was playing it at his wedding. Emma stood watching him, tears of joy streaming down her face. This was healing made visible. This was transformation complete. This was a man who had lost something precious and found it again, different but beautiful. As Marcus played, Emma picked up a violin that had been placed near the piano. She joined him, their instruments blending together like they always did, creating something more beautiful together than either could create alone. The wedding guests watched in awed silence. Many of them knew Marcus's story. They knew about the accident, about the years of not playing, about the brave decision to try again. Watching him now, confident and joyful, making beautiful music on his wedding day, there wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. When the song ended, everyone stood and applauded. Marcus stood up from the piano and walked straight to Emma, finding her easily because he knew exactly where she would be. Always right there beside him. "I love you," Marcus said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Thank you for unlocking my heart and helping me find my music again." "I love you too," Emma replied. "Thank you for letting me in. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for being you." They kissed as husband and wife, and the crowd cheered. Beethoven barked happily, making everyone laugh.